So in this lesson, I'm going to be painting this ostrich, young ostrich. These are the materials. I'm going to use 4 colours: Winsor Blue, Quinacridone Magenta, Winsor Lemon and Lamp Black. These are all by Winsor & Newton and they are professional range. I'm using Archer's paper, 200 GSM, and that's 100% cotton. I've got some water and I've got the reference photo here as well. And I've masked off this area because I'm going to be doing a black background. I've also got some other bits and pieces. I'm not sure if I'll use all of them, but I've brought them along anyway. I've got 3 brushes. I've got a flat 1-inch brush, and I've got a round brush by Sea White of Brighton, which is a synthetic size 12, and I've got a rigger brush as well. I've also got a whole collection of bits and pieces that I may or may not use. I've got a uni Posca here, I've got a white gel pen, I've got a black fine liner, and I've got 3 coloured pencils, a pink, like a blue, a desaturated blue, and a black. These are all made by Connie Knorr, but you could use any make. And it's just to add some scribbles right at the end. Finally, more recently, I've been using Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. This is great stuff, this is. It's a really good way of getting your whites back. It's water-based, and you add a little bit of water to it, and it really does give you a bright white. If you want to add, whiskers, or just add touches of white to your final piece. So I'm going to get started. I'm just going to remove the grid marks from the piece. So I'm going to pop the lamp black there, some Winsor blue over here, a bit of pink, and some yellow. So when you look at this photograph, there are some really nice colours in it. We've got some pinks, we've got some blues, got some greys, got some turquoises. So just a really, really nice range of colours. So first of all, what I'm going to do is paint the eye. So for the eye, I'm going to mix a little bit of blue, a tiny bit of black, to get this kind of like grayer kind of blue. And I'm just going to pop that into here. And actually you can go over the whole of that eye because the pupil is going to be darker anyway. And take it down here, and then just a little bit of water just to lighten it up, just there. Now that's dry, I'm going to add another layer. Same kind of colour, maybe just a tad thicker, but not really thick. Again, just going to come around that area, and then down here. And then where it lightens up, again, just add a little bit of water to get that lighter section there. And again, just allow that to dry. Now the problem is with watercolour is that it dries lighter than what you expect. So sometimes you do need to go over with quite a few layers. So this is going to be my next layer. And again, I'm just going to go in a little bit darker here. Start taking it down this line here, into here, and then just dissipate it with some water. Now what I'm going to do, I deliberately haven't gone into this section this time because I want to get some thick black. So for the black, I'm grabbing some black. I'm going to add a little bit of blue to that. sorry, a little bit of magenta even, and a little bit of blue, and a bit more black to make it a real kind of dark black. And I'm going to use this for the pupil. I'm just getting rid of the excess on my tissue. I'm doing this because I want the edge to be a little bit soft and not too hard. I want it to kind of merge into that barely damp paper. Now I'm just going to go around the edge a little bit. Because it's damp, it's just kind of fuzzing in around the edges, which is what I want. I just want a nice soft edge that's there. What I'm going to do next is wet the whole of the rest of the area. So I don't normally use this black, the professional range, because it can be a little unpredictable, but it's quite good to get fuzzy edges, and that's why I'm using it in this occasion. So I'm dipping into this black. In fact, I need it thicker than that. And I'm going to start from the outside. You can see what I mean. It would fuzz anyway because of the water, but it tends to do that far more than the Cotman black, which is what I use a lot more of. So I'm just going to the edges. I'm going a little bit nearer to the bird. And now I'm going to mix some blue into that black. I'm just using my brush to cut round the areas. What I'm after, this little of these kind of fuzzy marks that are here. I'm just coming in with darker tones. And just bringing that black in. Now this paper's nice and damp now, so I can start applying some of the other shades to it. I'm going to use a smaller brush now though. So I can see that we've got some blue down here. I'm just dabbing the colour in so that it starts blending with the black. Giving the beak a bit of a wide berth because that's pinker. And I'm after these kind of really fuzzy edges. You can get some of those blues in here. So this is just a blue-black mix. I'm looking at this bit of white that's here. It's not white, but a lighter colour. Get some more blue around here. And I'm going to get like a bit of a grubby pink, so that's a bit of magenta, a tiny bit of this colour over here, a bit more magenta in that. Very watery. And I'm going to start popping that in some of these other areas that I can see. In fact, I want it pinker than that for the beak. And I'm going to actually introduce a bit of yellow to make it slightly more orangey. So we're just working wet into wet with these various colours. I'm just adding a bit more water here because it's drying out a little bit. Now if you find that it's drifting too far, you can just get a thirsty brush and just wipe away. Whilst it's damp, I'm just building up some of those colours. And really all these colours are just, that you see on the photograph, are just a mixture of these colours that are on your palette. I'm going in while it's damp just to get some really, really soft edges. Just trying to look for those shapes and the subtle changes in hue. So this kind of goes a bit more blue here. Just literally just dabbing it on, and the water's doing the rest of the work. This bit down here is a bit pinker. Add a little bit of pink into my mix. Deliberately left this a little bit lighter and this a little bit lighter. You've got some kind of grey colours there. But I don't want to use black for my grey. I just want to make a nice rich grey. Just using the tip of my brush just to drop these in. That'll wiggle just to lift that bit of pink. Now what I want to do is start bringing some more blacks in whilst that's still damp. A bit more black on my palette. I'm just really kind of carving out the shape. I didn't want to go too far in initially. Really want to get the fluffiness of the bird, and I'll be adding extra marks to really accentuate that fluffiness afterwards. This paper's quite damp, and it'll get to the stage in a minute that I won't be able to do much more with it because I'll lose control. It'll become quite muddy. So there's a few more marks I can make, but in a moment I'm going to let it dry off. Just allowing for that spread. Just carving his head out. And I'm just checking my shapes. I know my tones aren't there yet, but I'm just checking my shapes. The silhouette, basically, just checking the silhouette's right. Okay, I'm going to let that dry and then put another layer on in a moment. So you can see that it's dried now, but it always dries a lot paler than what you expect. What I'm going to do now is just cover it with more water, just very gently, so as not to disturb the paint underneath. This time I'm going to cover that area, but I'm not going to cover the eye. I'm going to go around the eye though. It's disturbed the black a little bit, so I'm just going gently there, but it's going to go darker anyway in a moment, so it's not too much of a problem. Okay, what I'm going to do now is start darkening these tones here. So I'm going to get my blue-black mix and start just dropping it in here. And again, I'm just looking at my reference picture over here as to where these darks need to go. There's some more of it here. Just using my 1-inch flat. We use it on its side here as well. And then just alter the colour a little bit as it starts to go more into a grey. Find a colour down here. Again, just using the 1-inch flat. It needs to be a bit pinker. And get a bit closer to that mouth. And this beak here. Same difference. When it comes to the beak, I'm just going to use a smaller brush, mix up kind of like an orangey colour. A bit more pink than that actually, that kind of colour. Just drop a little bit, really exaggerate that pink, it's a really lovely colour. Maybe pop a little bit here. Anywhere else I can see it, just so that it follows through a bit. And just kind of gently move that over a little bit so it's not quite so harsh. And get some darker tones in down here. Really, I'm just making marks where I can see the bigger shapes, the bigger tones. And just here, you can see some little marks. What we'll do is nostril, if that's the right word, for a bird. But anyway, there it is. Need that to be bluer there, so just going to go in with some blues. Change that to a bit of blue. It feels like you're going really dark, but remember that it really lightens up, this does, once it's dry. And this picture just is a bit far more impactful when your blacks are dark. Adding a little bit of blue there. Trying to get some dryish black blue on my brush and just pop a little bit in here just to darken down some of those tones. And then just working into the face a little bit with the edge of my brush. Just getting into some of those shapes again. And get some nice soft edges and some marks there as well. If any of them are too dark like this one is, I'm just going to give that a little dab just to get rid. We'll be popping some details in a little bit later. That can get away with being a bit darker. I'm just going to remove a little bit of light here, which you can do while it's still damp. It's a nice thing about working wet into wet. And this layer is nearly done. Just got to put a little bit of a mark in here. Trying to see some of those shapes. Just pressing that to just lift that a little bit. You can go darker here as well. I'm just going to get that to dry off. Now for this section, I'm going to work a lot more on dry paper because I want it to be more impactful, the marks that I make. So I'm going to use the colours that I've already set out and start just roughly just putting in some more marks. Just altering the colours as I see them. That kind of beak colour again. And get some real depth of tone down here. Oops, if that happens, just do that, mop it up. And try and let your brush strokes be a little bit more fluid and intuitive. You can always dissipate out the hard edges with the water. Now at the moment you can't see me, but I'm squinting because I'm trying to see various shapes and tones. I'm just going to pop some dark on here. That needs to be a lot darker. Soften that edge. I'm actually going to do another layer over the eye as well, just to darken that down further. And the black is still not dark enough, so I'm just going to do another layer of black. I'm just wary of it joining the blue yet, because I don't want it to kind of splurge into that neck too much. So this is like the third layer of black. This time I've not got water on there, so it should be more impactful. You see with the extra black how much the white is popping through. And now I'm just going to let that dry. Now, unfortunately, that last little bit didn't film, so I'm just going to go through some of the techniques that I use just to take it from the last stage to the next stage. So what I've done here, I've used some gel pen just to add some marks to these little bit of areas here. I've gone through with some crayon. This is a blue crayon, and I've just added some bits of scribble down these areas too. Darkened this eye down as well. And then what I've done is I've gone through with some bleed proof white and just gone in and done some little white marks like so. Really helps to bring the piece alive. Yeah, I'm just going to do some more little fluffy bits. You want to push these colours, but you could also put little bits of dry washes. Well, washes on dry paper on different parts. So maybe pop a little bit of pink here and then just wash it out. I'm going to use this fine liner. This is a 0.5mm one, just to add a few more marks. So I can see that we've got some here. I'm just keeping them really nice and loose. A little bit more of the white gel pen. What I like about these coloured pencils is the fact that they can even go over darker colours. See there, as it's kind of going over the black. It's really nice. And now I'm not really referring to the photographic reference at all. Just bringing in extra colours to make it look interesting. And this is the fun bit, really. Well, it's all fun, but this is the bit I enjoy most. I think I'm going to stop there. It's very easy to overdo these things if you're not careful. I did create a practice piece a few days ago before I did this demonstration, and this is the one here. I like them both, to be honest. The only thing I prefer about my practice piece is I left a certain area completely devoid of water in the first place. Now, the advantage of that is that you end up with parts of the piece that are completely clean of any type of paint. This along here, it's only a small section that hasn't really got any paint at all on it, but it does allow the piece to pop a little bit more. This was also drawn freehand, and this was drawn using the gridding method. So technically, actually, this is more accurate, but some ways I actually prefer this one. I think it's the length of the beak. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope that you have fun with this piece. Thank you for watching.